Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I am George. We're all George. So, it's been an absolute bloodbath with markets, with Bitcoin, with crypto, right? We're one day after this press conference. Of course, I covered it a couple times already, but we got to talk about what happened. What is going on? What did he say exactly? And is there someone else that's dumping right now? Some mysterious character. Maybe it's Mt. Gox. Well, let's take a look at all these things today and more. Smash the like, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit that notification bell to get notified of all my streams. Follow me on social media. Check out CryptosRUs.com. And make sure you follow all my other channels as well, including the Clips channel. All right, welcome, guys. It's looking red out there. Looking red, very, very red. Bitcoin is clinging on, trying to cling on right now, 20,000, right? So obviously we fell down from 24 down to about 20, 22, 23-ish. Then we fell down to about 21, right? And boom, then we had another sell-off. So it's pretty obvious that there are some major someone behind the scenes. Someone's definitely selling. Unlike previous times where you kind of have, like, even during these times, right? You could see the candlesticks, the sell-off, right? It's slow and steady downwards, but you still have some greens mixed in there. But, you know, the last few, it's like nothing right here and right here, nothing but big sells. So someone is selling behind the scenes. I'll get to that in a little bit. Now, as for, of course, what happened yesterday, well, you could see it's not just limited to Bitcoin and crypto. The entire market, the U.S. market, crashed. Dow, negative 1,000. I don't remember the last time negative 1,000 Dow happened, probably 6 months ago. And then look at NASDAQ, minus 500, minus 4%. So obviously it's not just a crypto related dump. Everything dumped is due to this guy right here. Basically, the explanation is, well, he was hawkish yesterday, right? I've been reading and hearing about what other people have said. You know, overall, people are like, well, he was hawkish, so that's why the market dumped. Well, he's been hawkish for quite some time. It's not the sentiment has changed, right? Like, we knew that the Fed had to be hawkish and will continue to be hawkish because obviously with inflation, what we're seeing with inflation has not gone away, right? So obviously he was going to be hawkish. It was not going to be like, okay, we're not going to raise any more rates anymore. Everything is fine. Of course, it's not going to be that way, right? So basically, we sat through 20 minutes and we listened to him reiterate the fact that, you know, price stability is number one goal, right? Economy is still strong, so we're going to continue to do what we can to stop inflation by increasing rates and curb demand. That is his message. So it's a hawkish message, right? But again, nothing he said was, I don't know, out of the ordinary, unexpected, over the top. None of these things. It was the same message he had a month ago when we had the last FOMC meeting, right? So, you know, sometimes you just don't know. There are some players behind the scenes, maybe these big players like BlackRock, you know, they became fearful, or they're doing it to manipulate the markets, or this is all a prequel to something else bigger that's coming up with elections. You know, we just don't know right now, right? But what we do know is how much was lost just with stocks alone, just with the Dow and S&P and NASDAQ. 1.2 trillion loss. 1.2 trillion loss in a single day. And just to put that into context, the entire crypto market cap is not 1.2 trillion. We were at like 1.04, 1.03. We're under 1 trillion now, but that's how much money was lost overall after this one press conference. right? Enormous amount of money lost. Now, as for Bitcoin and crypto, also enormous loss. We have reds all across the board, more so with Ethereum and some of the recent gainers, right? Ethereum is down big. But you do have some that actually, surprisingly, did not move. And that is why Bitcoin dominance actually came down a little bit, because you could see today, like for example, got to give credit to XRP. XRP is not down. XRP is actually up. Cardano also barely down. And then you have like Polygon that actually did not go down and came back up, right? So a lot of the losses yesterday and today is mainly focused on Bitcoin and Ethereum and some of the other movers, but a lot of the other crypto did not move at all. So what does that say? That says a lot of holders, they're like, so what? We're going to continue to hold. We're going to continue to DCA what we have. That's exactly what it's saying. It's not a complete market meltdown. No, it's not. In fact, just from this chat alone, I could sense there's a lot of encouragement. This is not one of those days where everyone is feeling down, is like, I need to get out. This is done. I'm done. This is ridiculous. No. In fact, there are many that are taking advantage of course, the cheap prices and continue to hold what they have. So that is very, very positive, very encouraging. And that is what we all need to focus on, is the fact that, yes, we will get through this. But right now, it's hard to get through Powell and the Fed and everything else that's going on right now, right? There will still probably be volatility this next week. It'll be interesting to see what happens in the markets, if whoever kicked off the sell-off will continue to sell off, or we're going to see a bit of recovery, because that was an absolutely brutal Friday, right? But if you're looking at a lot of the crypto that's out there right now, it's encouraging that a lot of them have really not moved down, and it's more encouraging that we're starting to see some greens today too. We're not getting more panic, so that's very, very good. Now, I see a lot of people talk about liquidations, right? So I decided to look it up, and you know what? This is also a very good thing, and I'll tell you why. You could see on the 19th when Bitcoin came down from about 24,000 to 21,000. Look at the long liquidations. We're talking about close to $500 million worth of liquidations, right? A lot of people got liquidated. But look at what happened yesterday. The spike up, yes, we did have liquidations, and it was still hundreds of millions, about 200 million in total. Not nearly as devastating as the previous one. So that tells me either people got smart and stopped playing with leverage, or they're done. They have no more money. They got wrecked already, so they don't have any more to play with leverage. But the good thing is, the leverage, even though it's still there, we did have a long squeeze once again, but it's a lot less now than even, a few weeks ago, right? So that is good, because had there been more leverage, we could have seen a bigger drop down because of the long squeeze, because of the liquidation. So that's also good. All right. Now, what about Mt. Gox? A lot of people have been talking about, speculating, tomorrow is the day where Mt. Gox officially starts and this and that. You know what? There's no official dates. It's not set in stone. A lot of people speculating on when things will happen, right? And I decided to look it up. I'm like, well, there has to be some way to track it, right? Well, sure enough, on CryptoQuant there is. CryptoQuant does measure the exchange reserves on basically all the exchanges, including Mt. Gox, which is still steady. And the reserves has not moved at all. And there's only this one point there was a big drop back in 2018, and we knew that they did. The trustee did sell off Bitcoin, and that wasn't a good thing. But right now, you can see it's steady, hasn't moved, right? And I'll be keeping track of this. Overall, I've already said this. I think that when the trustee releases the Bitcoin back to the people, it's not the same as before. It's not one massive dump. There will be a lot of people that will, and I saw this too. There's a bank or a couple banks that's been pre-giving people like a percentage of their Bitcoin if they want to get it early. So I don't know what that percentage is, maybe 80%, 90%, but they obviously take a cut, right? So there's a lot of people that's actually taking advantage of that. A lot of people are actually for cash because they want to get it sooner. And then, of course, a lot of people just want their Bitcoin. But the number of Bitcoins they get now is a lot less than what they had before when Bitcoin was in a few hundreds versus where it is now, right? So it's going to be distributed. It's not all at once. And there's a lot of people that, there's people with different situations. There will be people that will just continue to hold. There will be some that sell. And, there's people taking cash, right? So I don't think it's going to be like $3 billion of Bitcoin dumped on the open market. We will see. But right now, it does seem like, there's no definitive date. I've been looking, and there's people that say, well, maybe it's tomorrow. Maybe it's next week. Start of September. Start mid-September. Like, no one really knows, right? If you are someone that actually is go get something from Mt. Gox and you get a date or you actually do receive your portion, then let me know, right? So I could actually track it better. But I will continue to track this, and if I start seeing this dip down, then we'll know that it has started. But right now, as of right now, no, it hasn't. But we will see. All right. Now, as for other exchanges, and I was looking at this, I'm like, hey, where did the selling come from, right? So I was looking in here, and I used to be very good at this, and a lot of times I could pick out, well, maybe the dump started because a lot of whale games on derivative exchanges or on the spot exchanges or FTX, looking at all the stuff that's been happening. So I'm going to go to exchange net flow, which measures how much basically is going in or out of exchange, right? And the net flow is the average, and you minus the two, and then whatever you have left. Either you have a surplus, which means going in, or you have a deficiency and it's coming out, basically, right? So if you're looking at overall spot exchanges and you look at what happened yesterday, there was not a whole lot. I mean, you look at exactly what happened yesterday, it doesn't even register. The net flow actually was a negative. So if anything, on the spot exchanges, there was a decrease of Bitcoins. So that doesn't make any sense, right? There's no one depositing. So what about derivatives? Also negative. So bottom line is, looking at what happened yesterday, right? Did we see a massive inflow of Bitcoin into the spot exchanges or derivative exchanges to be sold? The answer is no. In fact, what happened after yesterday, there was more Bitcoins being taken out of both. That's what it's showing, right? So what happened yesterday was not due to some Mt. Gox sending spot Bitcoin to the exchanges or some whale sending Bitcoin to the exchanges. The Bitcoin was already there, right? So we just don't know, kind of the party that started it, or there was just a lot of fear. People looking at the U.S. markets and in cumulative, people start selling off. I mean, if you look at FTX, not really. I know my camera kind of cut off a little bit, but if you look at FTX, I mean, yesterday you don't see any volume. In fact, the last big volume was net flow out, right? So, and you look at let's look at Binance real quick. Let's see, Binance. A little bit. You had a good amount of outflow and then a little bit of inflow, but very little, especially compared to before, like this period, right? That was a lot more. Let's just look at Coinbase for fun. I didn't have a chance to look at this beforehand. Yeah, Coinbase had no inflow. In fact, they had the outflow, right? So what we experienced yesterday was definitely not some massive whale dumping. Just people sold on exchanges. But the good news is, because we don't have more Bitcoin going into the exchanges, right? The reason why we continue to hold is because we know Bitcoin is the scarcest asset out there. It's the hardest asset out there. It will be the most used and limited asset out there eventually, especially, with everything that's going on with inflation. More and more people are starting to learn that we need assets with a fixed number and something that you can't inflate till nothing, right? And that's what Bitcoin is. And that's why if you look at balance on exchanges continue to go down, 4-year low, right? I just showed you guys, looking at all the major exchanges, none of them had a big influx of Bitcoin. So the number of Bitcoin is still leaving the exchanges more and more and more so. So this is the reason why we want to continue to hold, is because, I mean, we're already seeing it, right? We're already seeing all the countries right now. We're starting to see repercussions of high inflation, endless printing. And despite the fact short term, we got a lot of volatility. Basically, the lesson is you don't want to fight the Fed. But long term, what's happening is Federal Reserve and all the central banks around the world, they're basically killing themselves. They're basically dying. And countries are going to suffer for it, and especially citizens of those countries, right? But you have something like Bitcoin, you don't see the number go up. It's not being inflated upwards. There's no monetary policy. There's no quantitative easing or tightening. It's all governed by code, and it's only getting more and more scarce as more people buy it and take it off exchanges, and as every halving event occurs, which will be in another 2 years. All right, and then what else is positive? I mean, if people are buying Bitcoin and taking off the exchanges, well, then this makes sense. The number of addresses holding 1+ coins, 1+ Bitcoin, has reached an all-time high once again. It seems like every single week I show this, you can't fake this kind of data. There are more people coming into space and taking advantage, and more people around the world are learning about what's going on with fiat and the banks and inflation and quantitative tightening, easing, and monetary policy, all these things I've said, right? And more are turning to harder assets that can't inflate like Bitcoin. There you go. What else is there? I did see a couple other interesting things. There is this. This is pretty big. Remember, there was like basically a piece from Forbes that came out that asked for Gary Gensler to resign. It was the opinion of Rosalind Layden, and basically she laid out all the reasons why Gary Gensler has been a very, very bad SEC, right? And guess what? It has been removed, right? You know, we've been seeing, like, we're going through a time where it's like when something is negative and people don't like about it, it just gets removed. So somehow that Forbes just removed it. Don't know if Gary Gensler asked them to remove it, or some other agency asked them to remove it, right? But basically, it's like, it's almost like freedom of speech is gone. It's like if you write anything bad or publish anything bad, anyone has anything controversial to say, they are just removed, right? So unfortunately, this article is gone. You could still see in the Wayback Machine, there's a cached version of it, but it's gone. It's gone. All right. What else is there? I think that's pretty much it. There's not really much else to talk about. Let's bring this up. I mean, like I said at the beginning, yes, we had a setback. Yes, total market devastation from yesterday, right? But the one good thing short term that I could say is very, very positive and encouraging is the fact that we still have coins today that are continue upwards and in the green and are recovering, right? Despite the massive sell-off from Bitcoin, from Ethereum, especially Ethereum, which really, I guess a lot of people made a lot of money with Ethereum recently and decided to sell off. So, I mean, there's really no reason why Ethereum should have sold off for 7% yesterday. But you have others like XRP and Cardano and Polygon and several others that really didn't sell off, and they're starting to turn, and that is what we want to see. Stellar's another one. Algorand hardly went down. ICP is actually up. Chuli's is hardly down. Axie's hardly down. So, I mean, a lot of these are barely down, like maybe like 1%, 1 to 2%. So, still, it's not over, guys, okay? It's not over. So, stay positive. All right, let's do some Q&A. Tiberius, I think this is a calm before the storm. Crypto usually does awesome at the end of the year. History has shown us time and time again. I did mention about that. Man, that Bitcoin sign is a little bit too bright. You know, I still cling on hope that we're going to see something happen at the end of the year, right? This Santa rally. I don't know if we're going to really get a Santa rally, but, you know, a decent momentum, a decent recovery, a little bit of a upward movement, right? I still think that we could definitely see that at the end of the year. Things move very, very quickly, especially with crypto, right? A little bit less so now because the market is bigger, but man, previous times it has moved really, really quickly within a very short amount of time, right? And right now, despite the market sell-off, you know, we still have another month before this next FOMC meeting, right? And then we still have 3 months afterwards where the market could decide whether or not we're going to get a rally and people start buying in again, and possibly so, especially if they think 2023 is going to be better, right? Then the big institutions, everyone, Wall Street's going to be loading up again. So, yes, I think that could definitely happen still. Jalamas, what's the worst exchange you ever used and experienced? I don't even know. I don't even know. I mean, I don't even know. I mean, the worst exchange was from like years ago, and back in 2014 and 15. I mean, they just weren't as good as they are now. I mean, if you're asking recently, I don't even remember which ones that. I mean, I've been sticking with the same exchanges I've been using for a long time. So Binance, Gemini, KuCoin. I mean, these are ones I've been using for a long time, and they're still fantastic. I hardly sway out. I mean, before I've used a couple other ones too, but for the most part, they've been all good. I haven't had any real issues with them. Jason says the only thing we all know is a 2024 halving. Well, that is certainly the case. We know the halving event's coming, and overall the supply is decreasing. I mean, the biggest argument for why Bitcoin will continue to go up is the scarcity factor, right? It's the scarcest asset that we have because there's a set supply, and the inflation rate is getting cut in half every 4 years until it gets to a point where it's just so little and there's going to be no more basically produced, right? Right now it's about 900 a day. After 2024, it'll be 450 a day. And then after 2028, it'll be only, 225 per day. You know, and then it starts getting down really, really low. JG, I appreciate it, man. That's what I'm here for. If you're locked in Coinbase with staking ETH, do you recommend their so-called token? Well, I mean, if you're locked in already, there's really nothing you could do, right? So Coinbase is going to come out with CB ETH, so you can take out a synthetic version of your ETH and do something with it, right? Like if you really want to trade it or something, you can. But just know that, you know, with CB ETH, if you happen to stake it in a liquidity pool or something and there's an impermanent loss, you could end up having less CB ETH. So when you want to convert it back to ETH, you have less, right? So just keep in mind that having something locked in actually can be a good thing for a lot of newcomers because it takes the guessing away from them and the risk aspect to it, so people don't try to outsmart the market or use leverage or, you know, stuff like that. But I understand a lot of people are like, no, I want to control my own funds. So I mean, CBETH is something that you can take out if you wanted to play around with it. Celsius should be considered a swear word now. Start using it as a swear word. It might catch on. The F-150 Lightning video, I have to record the whole thing. I've been recording pieces of it, so I'll yeah, either today or tomorrow I gotta record it. Good thing I borrowed that truck for a whole week, so I have a little bit more time with it. I usually use Coinbase off ramp back in USD. That's what I use Gemini for, because I can't use Coinbase. They banned me years ago for some reason. I still don't know why. So I use Coinbase for that reason. But almost every exchange has an on and off ramp. I mean, Binance.us has it too now. KuCoin has it to some extent, but KuCoin is very limited with U.S. citizens now. So there's a lot of other smaller exchanges kind of looking at right now. So yeah, I mean, I used to use Gate.io too, but Gate.io shut down for U.S. residents too, so that kind of sucks. So yeah, I mean, but most of the exchanges have a fiat on and off ramp now. If Lakers could deal Westbrook, would you prefer Pacers or Jazz? I have not been keeping up with trade rumors, so I don't know what they offered, but if they get anyone for Westbrook, that would be a good deal. The salary is like $45 million, and he opted in. Like, come on, just take anyone over Westbrook. Just get rid of the salary. Yeah, it sucks when Coinbase like suspends you or bans you. They don't tell you why, and they just don't. But the only, I guess, good thing is they allow you to take out your crypto right away. They'll say, oh, you have 3 days to withdraw your crypto or something like that. But to this day, I still don't know why. What was the overall statement? Last bear market, now it's not just crypto. I hear more and more. Maybe it's different this time. What's the overall statement? You mean sentiment? Well, obviously in bear markets, the sentiment is horrible. People don't like it. People are panicking, right? But that's when you want to buy. Every person says that. I take that back, not every person. Every major investor, every person that has made a boatload of money over the years, they'll tell you the same thing. You buy when other people are fearful. You buy when there's a bloodbath. You buy when there's like depression all around, right? That's when you want to dive in, take advantage, buy low, and then when things recover, that's how you make the money. Have you heard of Ergo besides Flux? Is the other proof of work? Yes. I've heard of both, but I think I don't think a lot of miners are moving into either one. So there's a lot of speculation, like, oh, where's all the miners going? I think they're not going anywhere. They're just shutting down. That's what they're doing. And the ones that don't want to shut down and want to continue mining, they'll probably move to something like a bigger project like Ethereum Classic, which is basically Ethereum. So the code doesn't really change. You don't have to do a whole lot to move from Ethereum to Ethereum Classic, right? So I think a lot of miners will go to Ethereum Classic and a lot of miners will just shut down. Very little will actually move to Ergo or Flux. I think that's just wishful thinking at this point. And even, let's just assume 100% of the miners move to either one. That doesn't cause the price to go up. So I think that's also a misconception. A lot of people think, well, you get more miners to this, it's going to cause the price to go up. No, it won't. Crypto Surge. Appreciate it, man. Someone says, PayPal banned me for no reason too. Yeah, PayPal's evil too. PayPal is more evil than any other financial company there is. What's your opinion on a completely smooth ETH merge? It probably happened. They've been testing testnet so long now. I'd be amazed if something else happens between now and the merge. Unless there's some big bug or vulnerability found, it should be pretty smooth. I mean, exchanges will shut down withdrawals. They're going to need time to upgrade the wallets. The nodes needs to be, upgraded and all that stuff. Abudallah, appreciate it, man. ETH will flip BTC. Someday. It could happen. Could, but it doesn't mean it necessarily will. Oh, PayPal could hold your funds way longer than a few days, man. I had PayPal hold my funds for 6 months. 6 months. While they investigated and asked for my invoices and did a credit check and wanted an explanation on why I was selling what I was doing and who I was selling to and where I got my goods. I mean, PayPal is the worst financial company in the world. They literally are like a mob. They could freeze your account, freeze your funds. There's no law that, because they're not a bank, they don't have to give it back to you right away. And they will force you to do all these things when it's none of their business. I've been through a lot with PayPal over the last few years. I mean, not just I'm talking about like 10 years ago, not recently. Yeah. PayPal is the reason why we need crypto. Here's the difference, Justin, or Justice. Bitcoin's hash rate going up has nothing to do with the price going up. It just means that the network is more secure. That's what you want. Bitcoin's network is the most secure in the world. But why does Bitcoin go up? It's because people are buying and holding Bitcoin. That's the difference, right? So obviously, the two you would think moves in tandem, right? But if Flux's hash rate goes up or Ergo's hash rate goes up, right? That's great. The network becomes stronger, but doesn't mean the price of either one is going to go up if no one's buying the tokens and holding it, because they're both small caps right now. They're not Bitcoin. They're not a big cap. The faith, the community, the holders, not the same. That's why you can't equate one with the other. Of course, with something like Bitcoin, you have both, but with a smaller project, you're not going to have the same thing. And I'm not saying this because I don't like either. I actually do like Flux quite a lot. I think Ergo, there's nothing wrong with it, but you can't have this wishful thinking, oh, all the Ethereum miners go move to Ergo and it's going to go up 100x. That's not going to happen. Tiberius, you're going to find that first of all, I think you're mistaken. And second of all, if you really try, I think you're going to find that you're mistaken. No, it's not 100 Bitcoin withdrawal limit. It's actually 1 Bitcoin withdrawal limit on KuCoin without KYC. Maybe you're not in the US, but yeah, without KYC, withdrawal is now limited to 1 Bitcoin per day, not 100. Some of the other smaller exchanges are very lenient. So again, I'm starting to look at some of the other ones to see if there's anything good I'm missing that could potentially replace KuCoin in the future. But right now, I think being the U.S., my go-to exchange, Binance.us, I think they're great and they're getting better. All right, guys, I'll let you go. It's Saturday. I'll let you get back to your Saturday activities. But overall, guys, sum up, yeah, we took a beating yesterday. We did. Powell gave us a beating, right? But what do we do after we get a beating? We stand right back up. So basically, continue to hold, guys. Continue to have patience. I know that sometimes it hurts, and there's a lot of struggles there, right? And a lot of people just want to get out. But bottom line is this. We have not made a new low. We're not back to 17K yet. We have a little setback, but more and more people are turning to Bitcoin. More and more people are turning to crypto. It is still very early, and despite the fact that we have all these negative things going on out there, right? Bitcoin and crypto is still thriving and growing, and this is why we need to stay in the game, especially when all the central banks out there are proving why we need a better asset than fiat, right? So smash the like, subscribe to the channel, check out all the latest news article and guides on CryptosRUs.com, and I will see you guys tomorrow, same time, 11:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. All right? Have a good one, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.